hello, and welcome to another session of Let's Get Real with Mona Naidoo. That's me, Mona Naidoo. I'm an abundant living guide, an executive coach, a philanthropist, a human behavior specialist, a teacher of sacred wisdom, an inspirational speaker, and an advocate for humanity. And in these sessions, I share stories and teachings to inspire you to turn your dreams into reality. Now, this year we are focusing on spiritual wealth, and each session will be dedicated to connecting you to your true spiritual wealth, to help you understand what your true spiritual wealth is, and to help you to be more aligned with it and to it. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for being here, whether you're catching this live or you're watching the replay. Do let me know where you're joining me from, because it's always wonderful to know who's here with me live and what it is you are up to and where in the world you are. So thank you for being here. And how wonderful is this? We are now in February. Can you believe where the first month of 2023 went to? It already feels like we've been at it for quite a while. And I've realized something about myself. I don't usually start something new in January. For me, it's still getting used to the new frequencies of the new year. And it's usually in February that I would get in alignment with what it is that I am to show up as, to offer, to serve. And I guess that's what life is about. It's not when 1st January hits, we all have to just show up and start setting intentions, goals, resolutions, or whatever it is that we are doing these days. But it's about really feeling into it. And if you stick with me till the end of the year, as we discuss more topics and subjects relating to spiritual wealth, you'll understand why we have to do things differently compared to how we used to, because we have moved into the new earth realm. We have moved into new frequencies. And these are frequencies that we are not yet totally familiar with, so it will seem foreign. And yes, we know the old frequencies, so we'd want to hang on to those. But I want to encourage you to step into the unknown. I'm going to encourage you to take a leap of faith. Be bold this year. Dream big too, because that's what's required of us this year. Now, as you know me, I love starting the week off with a question. So this week's question is, what does wealth mean to you? Now let's be honest, when I was growing up, and for quite a long time, I grew up with the mentality of wealth meant money, how much money you have. And I'm sure for most of us in this community and most of us in this world, that's what we were taught. Wealth equals the amount of money. So if you had lots and lots and lots and lots of money, you were considered wealthy. And yes, up until today, even though we know that that's not entirely correct, the majority of the world's population is running after material things, money and whatever other things represent in the material world that represents wealth, because we are still in that mindset that if I have all these material things, then I am wealthy. Now, do you know that if you go online and if you look for the definition of wealth, the first definitions that pop up is all about how to make money, save money, and invest money to become wealthy. How assets and money, property are the things that determine your level of wealth. And it takes quite a lot of probing and prodding to find deeper meanings of wealth. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not disregarding the material things, because we have to look at the material aspects of wealth as well as the spiritual aspects. And we have to form a bridge between the two. And we have to bring it all together so we can enjoy a whole life. We can enjoy harmony in our spiritual, between our spiritual wealth and our material wealth, and how we experience life as a whole with enjoying both the material wealth and the aspects of spiritual wealth. So, like I said, when you think about wealth, well, until we woke up, until we started going deeper into the understanding of everything around us, because that's the journey of understanding, of enlightenment. That's the journey of awakening. That's the journey to know what else is there beyond us, beyond this physical plane. And as we go further and further and further, and our eyes get bigger and bigger and bigger as we see the truth behind it, we get to feel more expansive. Now, when we look at wealth only as money or physical assets and physical things, we limit our experience of life. We limit our quality of life. But the minute we are willing to look at the definition of wealth and expand it in all directions, expand it into all realms, well, that's when evolution occurs. That's when evolution occurs within us. That's when we get to see evolution happening outside of us. That's when we get to experience growth within and growth without. That's when our consciousness rises. And if you are aware what's been happening over the last couple of years, we've been like on a fast track to rise our consciousness, to elevate our consciousness, because Mother Earth requires conscious people, requires highly conscious people to actually allow this earth to be sustained, to cause this earth to be sustained. Because if we keep going on the way we have been, well, we're going to destroy one of our greatest assets, and that's Mother Earth, right? Because how often do we think that our greatest asset, we're all living on her, in her. We're all inhabiting this space. And that's the one asset that we aren't taking care of. That's the one asset that we aren't all consciously focusing on every single day, every moment of the day. Through everything that we do, how we think, how we act, how we experience life on this planet. Because that's exactly what wealth is all about. Now, wealth comes from an old English word spelled W-E-A-L, wheel. And it dealt with welfare or well-being, because that's where it originated from. And yes, over the years, people thought that well-being meant the state of your material possessions, how wealthy in terms of monetary acquisitions you were. And that was equated with well-being. Now, if you notice the world right now, when people are going out and just running after material possessions, running after money, it's because somewhere there's a programming that if I have more money, then I will be well. I will be experiencing well-being. And that's the fallacy. So I don't blame those that are uninformed when they go running after money, because they think that their well-being, their safety, their security, because that's what's linked to well-being, is attached to how much money they have, how big a house they have, what material possessions they have. Now, We want to change that thinking. People have to get in touch with the wealth that can't be seen, the wealth that's within. And I loved someone in the group shared today what wealth meant for them. And Leanne shared that wealth for her means getting positive results from a PET scan, right? That is like feeling super, super wealthy. And that's true because wealth is what you think it is. And I encourage you to keep extending it, expanding the definition of what you already think wealth is. Perhaps you've been on the spiritual journey for quite a while. Now take it further and take it further. This is one thing that my teacher, Dr. John DeMartini, taught me. And he would ask us, well, give me 50 reasons why you want to have a business, for example. Then it would be, give me 200 reasons why you want to have a business. Yes, I kid you not. And then he says, if you want to really stretch it, go to 500 reasons. Because here's the thing. The more you expand, the more you ask the question, the more frequently you ask the question, even though it may be the same question that you may have asked last year or maybe last week, but there's a different answer waiting to show up for you. And every time you ask a question, something else will show up. And that's how we evolve. That's how our consciousness rises. That's how we get to higher states of being on this planet. Now, how is that sitting with you right now? Because it is even more than what the teachings have been up until now. Right? When I think about wealth, I think about the quality of our lives. Because here's the thing. If we are having poor qualities of life, if our quality of life is poor, and by poor I mean that we are, in a state of fear the whole time, or we are angry and upset about something, or we don't have good relationships with people. We are wondering what it is we are to do in this world. We are unhappy at work. We don't feel that we have enough or there is enough for us. Now, just by the way, many of the people who feel this way have a lot of money in the bank as well, but they feel that they don't have, so there's constant working, doing, in order to acquire and acquire and acquire. But that's not a great quality of life, right? What is a great quality of life for you? For me, it's peace. For me, it's harmony. For me, it's stillness. For me, it's knowing that I am divinely protected, that I'm divinely guided. For me, it's those meaningful relationships with the few people that may be in my space. Now, some people are wanting to have these huge followings, but how meaningful are those relationships? I'd rather have a few people, like all of you here, but know that I feel your love and you can feel my love. So it doesn't matter how many friends you have or close friends you have. It doesn't matter how popular you are, but it's about the quality of those relationships. It doesn't matter how much money you bring in and how much money you have in the bank. It's about what you do with the money. It doesn't matter what you do for your vocation or your career. It's about whether you enjoy doing what you do. Do you feel fulfilled at the end of the day? It doesn't matter how big your business is and how many people you are serving. That is, do you see a smile on the face of your clients or customers when they receive your service or your product? Do you feel their fulfillment from interacting with you? Now you see, when you look at all these things, can you feel that your pot of gold is getting fuller and fuller and heavier and heavier? Can you see your assets rising? Can you see how wealthy you really are? And then when one looks at your health, right? Being healthy doesn't mean you have to be in this perfect body shape. You have to be super fit and going to gym every single day. No, that's not quality of life. Yes, if you'd love to be in the gym every single day and you feel invigorated by it, sustained feeling of invigoration, and you are happier for the fact that you've gone to gym every day, perfect. But movement, any amount of it, whenever you want to do it, is perfect. Because your state of health, your state of well-being, your state of wellness isn't just dependent on physical activity. It's dependent on your mind. How healthy is your mental state, your emotional state, your spiritual state? All that contributes to your spiritual wealth, contributes to your wealth. And yes, absolutely, money is a beautiful way to give you the opportunity to have beautiful life experiences. But money on its own cannot create that for you. All those other aspects of wealth have to come in together, and like pieces of a puzzle, they all fit in perfectly where they are to be. And that's how you get the whole spectrum of wealth. You get to experience all that the universe has to offer. You get to bridge the gap between material wealth and spiritual wealth. And then you can go onto this side and cross over onto that side and then bring them together in the middle of the bridge. You get to truly experience life, because that's what this life is about. It's about experiencing it now. That's what true wealth is. How do you choose to experience your life right now with exactly what you have right now? Because you see, too many people are waiting for an event in the future. Too many people are waiting for that investment in the future to mature. Too many people are waiting to save some time in the future before they go on that world-class trip. Now, I'm not telling you to go take out any credit card debt or to put yourself in any adverse position. But what is it? Why do you want to have that trip around the world? What is it that you want to feel? Because you can experience that right now. And remember what I always teach? You can go virtual traveling until you get to travel, have the real physical experience of travel. You can do it virtually, and you can bring in that feeling and you can anchor it in, and you will just watch. Your wealth will be rising and rising and rising, and if we could measure it, well, I'm sure that you would surprise yourself. I'm sure that you will surprise yourself what your net worth really is. And then do you know what happens? When we raise our vibration, right? Now, all the things that would make our life even more spectacular will come to us. And money, material things will come to us because that's the frequency it vibrates at. So if it's joy, what is it that will bring you or help you to stay in that state of joy? That's what the universe is listening to. That's what the universe is hearing. So the universe will send you something with that same frequency of joy. And then you get to be more in the frequency of joy. So how is that resonating with you right now? Wealth really is what we choose to experience every single day, no matter who we are, no matter where we are in the world. And the truth about that is that no one can take that away from us. What's inside our heart Whether that's joy, whether it's love, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's being content, whether it's gratitude, appreciation, generosity, whether it's kindness, whether it's compassion. No one can take that away from us. Money can come and go. Material things can come and go. But what's in the treasure chest of your heart? No one can take that away, no matter how hard they try. So I'd love to know what resonated with you today. I'd love to know, what is it that you have become aware of that is your wealth, that maybe you haven't even looked at it? Maybe you have beautiful, loving relationships, or one specific one. Maybe you have the ability to connect with people or animals or plants. Maybe you have the talent and the gift and the skill to create something with your hands or your words or your voice. What is it that you have not been acknowledging that's in your treasure chest? So I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what resonated with you today. I would love to hear what's sitting in your treasure chest. And what aspect of what's in your treasure chest that you would love to connect with and allow to flourish and expand. Because you want to put in enough energy into it so it can become more of that. And that wealth can just expand and expand and expand. And then you give it from an overflowing cup. You give it from your overflow, right? Because that's what we want to do. And I guess today I also want to send love, and I'd ask you to do the same, to the people in Turkey, the catastrophe that they're experiencing there, and whichever surrounding areas are impacted by it as well. That we're sending our love, and we're sending our love to all the organizations that are sending in support in whatever form it is. Because right now, we have enough prayers, we have enough good wishes, we have enough wealth to send it abundantly to Turkey and wherever else it's required in the world right now. So will you share your love today as well? So I'd love to leave you with that, and I hope that you got some benefit from this today. And most importantly, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love for you to share your thoughts and insights with me. So until next time, ciao for now.